Armstrong here to talk about sunscreens and sun protection. It's very important here in the state of Florida that everyone have a basic understanding of what to do and what sunscreens are for and the components of sunscreens and so forth. So I'm here to address some common questions as well as make some general suggestions. So first of all, why do we want to use sunscreens? Well, the obvious thing is we want to decrease our risk of developing skin cancer. And also we want to stay looking good. So photoaging is another big thing we want to try and protect ourselves from. When it comes to vitamin D, this is a very big question patients have. Will I be vitamin D deficient? Well, I can tell you I have a lot of patients that are tanned that have vitamin D deficiency. So having vitamin D as a supplement in your diet is very important. I take a multivitamin every day that has vitamin D in it. Some other general recommendations is you want to avoid midday sun. So from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. are thought to be the most potent hours of sun exposure, but in the state of Florida you can get a sunburn earlier in the day as well as later in the day. Okay, so how about sun protective clothing? Very, very important, and I have some examples here about sun protective clothing. This is a sun protective shirt that I use. I use this whenever I swim. So that's very important to have sun protective clothing. As well as sun protective hats. This is a great hat. This protects your ears and your neck. Very, very important. There's a lot of brands. I'm not going to promote any certain brand today, but many, many different hats. There's also some cute hats that women can wear. This is one that my wife uses right here. It's a cute hat, very fashionable, is matching purses and so forth. So there are fashionable ways that you can protect yourself from sun exposure. Another thing that is very important would be to have your car with ultraviolet tint. The majority of skin cancers that we see in Florida are on the left side of the body. So very important that you get your car tinted with UV tint. As for reapplying sunscreen, you really should reapply sunscreen about every 80 minutes or so, or more frequently if you are exposed to the water, if you swim, or if you have some type of excessive activity as well. So those are some very important things. So when it comes to sunscreen itself, we read about sunscreens, we hear about sunscreens, and SPF is what we hear about. So what does SPF mean? SPF is a measure of ultraviolet B protection, and I'll show you that on a poster in a moment, what I mean by that. So we recommend an SPF 30 or greater. One of the more common questions I have is, well, is an SPF 30 twice as good as an SPF 15? And the answer to that, and the short answer is no. But an SPF 15 is thought to block about 93% of the rays versus an SPF 30 is 97%, and SPF 50 about 98%. So it does give you an idea as to how much protection you're getting. So a 30 or greater I think is a safe way to go. But you want to use a broad spectrum sunscreen that protects you against both ultraviolet B and ultraviolet A. Now I'm going to grab a poster here, forgive me for a moment, just so I can explain. So if we look at the sun, when the sun emits its rays, it emits many different types of rays, and what we're concerned here about is the ultraviolet rays, which are from 290 nanometers to 400 nanometers. Ultraviolet B is the more superficial radiation, and this is thought to be the burning rays, and ultraviolet A penetrates more deeply. They both contribute to the formation of skin cancer, and ultraviolet A is thought to contribute more towards photoaging. So it is important when we pick a sunscreen to pick something that is broad spectrum, that covers against UVA and UVB. And that will help give us the protection we need from skin cancers as well as from photoaging. Okay, so here we have a shot glass. So what does a shot glass have to do with sunscreen? Well, this just gives you an idea about how much sunscreen you should be applying to your exposed body surface area. So most people do not apply enough sunscreen, and therefore they don't get the sun protection that we want to get. So you want to take one of these sunscreens here. I have a whole host of sunscreens here. And you want to take a full shot glass and try and cover your exposed body surface area with that. And that gives you an idea of how much sunscreen to use. You should apply the sunscreen 20 to 30 minutes before you leave to go to the beach or to go to the ballpark, wherever you're going to get your sun exposure. And you want to apply your sunscreen to dry skin. And that's just going to help the sunscreen work better. So if you're going to apply sunscreen, especially to wet skin, you're going to diminish its effectiveness and how much is actually going to be able to stay on the skin. Now that we've talked about SPF and those things and how much to apply, we're going to talk a little bit about the different types of sunscreens. There are two main types of sunscreens. There's chemical sunscreen and there's physical sunscreen. Chemical sunscreen have these crazy names: Parsol 1789, avobenzone, homosalcilate. These are kind of crazy names, and what these are, they're a mixture of chemicals that are filters that block different wavelengths of that ultraviolet radiation that we're talking about. So the manufacturer will take a combination of these filters to get a broad spectrum to cover the whole sun spectrum to make it good for both UVA and UVB protection. Physical sunscreens are your zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. These are the older sunscreens that we remember seeing on lifeguards where the lifeguard would have a white thick paste on their nose. That's the classic zinc oxide paste. Well, now the technology has improved so much that we're able to micronize those sunscreens so they go on much more cosmetically elegant. And you can wear them, and it's a much better way of doing things. In sum, sunscreens are very important. You want to apply them 20 to 30 minutes before you leave the house. You want to reapply them about every 80 minutes. You want to use at least an SPF 30 or greater. And you want to remember your friend, the shot glass. At least put a shot glass on. Hopefully these tips were helpful to you and help protect you and your family from developing skin cancers and from photoaging. Make sure you see a dermatologist and get a skin check at least once a year.